respect it. And part of me feels like Connor thinks that he doesn't have to respect it, and I think he's gonna find out when the fight's playing out that he's gonna get hit with a shot that he's gonna have to think about.
Fair enough. Excuse me. Fair enough, sir. And finally, James, is McGregor going to be a 2-weight champion as he claims, sir, or will Alvarez defend?
See, I like what Victor said about Alvarez, about how he gets in a lot of scraps, he gets hit a lot, and I actually think that that's going to be a problem in this fight. I think his best path to victory, perhaps in this one, would be going back to how he fought against Pettis, how he fought against Melendez, which, by the way, are 2 fights I thought he lost. I also thought that he lost against Michael Chandler before in his last fight in Bellator. So I think he's lost like 4 of his last, personally. But that's just me. But I like Alvarez. He's always fun to watch. But everything of his always seems to end up as a scrap. Like, okay, he got Dos Anjos out of there in his last fight, and he did so really impressively. His hands was incredible. However, if Dos Anjos moved his head the other way or anything, or just that one shot that took him out of there, and Alvarez carries on like that, I don't think he'd been walking away with a belt. I think he would have got picked apart, and I think that's what McGregor's going to do, to be quite honest. I think unless he tries to lay on top of McGregor, which I honestly think would be a good game plan for him, I think he's going to get picked apart at range. I think McGregor's going to walk him down, and I think you are going to have a 2-weight champion for the second time in his career. So all in for 2.
Excellent stuff, guys. Let's move on to the final part of the show, where we get a chance to answer some fan questions regarding not just 205 but lots of things MMA. I'll just remind you of the rules. There's only one rule, though. Only ever is one rule, and that is you don't have to wait your turn. The floor is yours, guys. So I'll start with some questions from Twitter, starting with @XLMike, who tweets by saying, do you think McGregor has one-punch knockout power at 155?
#Colin. Yes, I'm having that one. He already has one. So, there you go. That's your question answered. And his last fight in Cage Warriors, that was 155, and that was a one-punch knockout. So there's your answer.
I don't think we can top that, guys. We'll just move on to the next question. Superb stuff.
I'd agree with James, although I don't think he's got the one-punch power to knock out Alvarez. I think he's going to struggle to one-punch knock out Alvarez, but he probably does have against some people. He's not going to. I'd be very shocked if he one-punches Alvarez.
But at the same time, he also one-punched Aldo, who I don't even think had only been dropped, maybe once or twice in his career, so who knows?
Yeah, fair enough, guys. Let's move on to Michael Donnelly, who tweets saying, Towell's death calls for boxing ban. Would that extend to UFC/MMA? For those unaware, quite a tragic story here in the UK. A Scottish boxer by the name of Mike Towell died late 2 weeks ago, I believe, after suffering a double knockdown. He was fighting a guy called Dale Evans. There's been some calls, a ban, if you will, in Scotland by some in the press and in the media, and of course MMA has been sort of linked to that as well. Combat sports, I guess, has been taken into consideration. What's the panel's thoughts on this one and the answer to Michael's question?
I'll start this one then. I mean, anything like this is obviously tragic, and in these kind of combat sports, it's always going to be a risk. I believe MMA is still linked to less tragedies like that than boxing is. However, it is a lot younger sport. Mm-hmm. It's a problem with this. With boxing, obviously, the problem really stems from when a guy gets knocked down and hurt so badly, the referee starts giving them the 10 count. I mean, I've been in that situation when you get knocked down. You've got 10 seconds to stand up. When it happened to me, I stood up and still couldn't have told you what day of the week it is. But as long as you can walk forward a few paces and nod, then you're allowed to continue. Where in MMA, if you're knocked down like that, then that fight's done. You don't get given a 10 count. So on that side of it, I think MMA is safer from that respect. But it is part and parcel of the sport. When you get into that cage, you know that is a risk. You've got to take that as part and parcel of doing this sport. It's a dangerous sport. Yeah. I mean, it is a tragedy and it is something that you never want to see. But how much can you prevent it in a sport like MMA? You can't. There's not a lot you can do to prevent it, other than, I don't know what you could do in MMA to prevent that really from happening. Really.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it is more a boxing question to sort of answer, Mike, than an MMA related. But I take your point, Steve. MMA being the young sport that it is, who's to say what's further down the line? Guys, I'll move on then. A sad story that one is, but also the passing of Josh Salmon, because we've had questions coming in for this, and I'm moving on to Facebook here. We have a guy by the name of Matt Reynolds. He's messaged by saying, "Hi guys, what are your thoughts on the sad news of Josh Salmon? A great guy, he will no doubt be missed." Josh Salmon on his passing. What's your thoughts, guys?
There still hasn't been any word on the official cause of death, right? Or did I miss something?
I believe it was
allegedly
a heroin overdose. I say allegedly.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's the alleged thing, that it was a drug
overdose. Yeah, but I heard some people kind of deny that. But well, either way, who knows? But yeah, it is tragic, man, and especially for someone like me, and I'm assuming many people who've on this panel or who've heard this, being a writer, someone who writes about MMA, it's kind of, I think Salman was we all had a soft spot for him, because he was a writer, he was a fighter and a writer, so he was like, he was both sides of the equations. He was like part MMA media and part fighter, and he was always in pretty exciting fights, and of course the knockout of Eddie Gordon is probably one of the best knockouts of the year. Yeah, it was beautiful, and him coming back. That was honestly, I know, especially after he died, there was many links to it, and the UFC were showing it and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, I can't think of too many other moments. That's one of the most poignant moments in MMA that I've ever witnessed. Seeing what he went through, that he took the fight on the date that his girlfriend had died, and just seeing him go through that struggle and overcome just that ultimate triumph of how the fight played out, how he won, and he kind of went on a losing streak towards the end, but it would have been cool to see him win some fights after that. I think he would have stuck around the UFC for a bit, but yeah, just sad stuff, man. He seemed everyone says that his book was really good, that he seemed like he was a very nice guy, but yeah, it's kind of sad to see a guy go out like that.
Yeah. Some questions regarding, well said, Victor, sorry. Some questions regarding UFC 204. Jake Anderson comments on the judges' scoring. He says, a 10-point must system, you got to go with Bisping just on the way that the UFC scores fights. And another guy Facebooks by saying, Hendo spent far too much time inactive, even if you gave him rounds 1 and 2. I had money on Hendo. Is this something we agree on, guys? Did Hendo's inactivity, do you think, cost him the fight in the judges' eyes?
I mean, yeah, again, being there, I'd say Hendo isn't really great in terms of point fighting. He very much relied on that one big shot, and a lot of people afterwards are now speaking to him saying, "Oh, surely rounds 1 and 2 were a 10-8 round." And my question to that is, you can't score around 10-8 when the guy has lost 4.5 minutes of a round and then wins 30 seconds. That's not a 10-8 round. That's a 10-9 round. If he'd won, say, 2-3 minutes of the round and then knocked him down and hammered him like that, then yeah, 10-8. But there's no way that Hendo was winning those rounds 10-8. He doesn't do enough in those rounds. He just waits for that one big shot, and once that lands, then he flurries. But other than that, he just steps back, waiting for that one big shot to land.
Fair enough, mate. No, sorry, carry on, sir. I was going to talk over you. Carry on.
Oh no, I wasn't mad. I wouldn't be mad at the 47 scorecards for that fight, but obviously that would have been, man, talk about a clusterfuck. People were talking about what if Hendo won, that he's gonna leave the belt, and now they all got to fight it out. But a draw would have really fucked everything up. But,
yeah.
And all I kind of thought after the fight was, well, Decision Dan really is gone, and if this wasn't Pride, I'd have no doubt in my mind that he would have won that fight. But it's 15 years too too far in the past now. But yeah, it's kind of interesting how that fight brought up this issue of the scoring criteria, because this is what I've always told people when there's a close round, like, well, I just look at damage and look how much they've defended. But I always said this is the kind of round that is pretty hard to score. Yeah, one that I always had trouble with before this, and I'm kind of surprised people don't talk about it too much, was the fourth round of John Jones and Alexander Gustafsson. Yes, of course, John won that round because he almost finished him. But if you look at that fight, that was Gustafsson's most dominant round. He won 4 minutes of that round or something, 3.5 minutes, and was dominant. I don't think John landed anything right before that elbow, and people were like, "Oh, John Jones is clearly winning now." I'm like, well, I'm not sure, because he lost about 80% of that round, 90% of that round. But that was the round I'd go to before. But yeah, the first, especially the second round of this fight, I think is the definitive who the hell won this round type controversial round that you always ask that question for.
Yeah, that's true, mate. We're just short on time, guys, so I'll move to our very last question, which is from Paul McCormick, who messages by saying, "Hi, guys. If Alvarez pulls out of the fight, isn't the obvious replacement Jose Aldo for the featherweight belt? That way he's a 2-time champion when he wins." I think he means because he's going to be an interim and then a full champion, but that doesn't make him a 2-belt champion. But anyway, it says the Paul's having a dig. What do you guys think? Could Aldo get the job done in a rematch with McGregor?
Isn't it supposed to be at 155? Surely McGregor's adjusting himself to fight heavier.
I would have thought so, yeah.
So I would say no to that one personally. I don't know why they do that. I think that as much as that would be great to see him fight again, I can't see why or how they would do it for the featherweight title. And they obviously can't do it for a lightweight title, so it would just be weirdly a fight. I'd love to see it again, don't get me wrong. I'd like to actually see how it plays out, as opposed to, was it 13 seconds or whatever, but it's not happening. They've probably already got something else in mind just in case, and it's probably another Diaz fight. So I can't see it being Aldo, let's put it that way.
They've probably got Cerrone on tap, haven't they, for a last minute replacement? He'll fight Gastelum.
He's on the card.
He'll fight twice.
Budweiser and then go fight Conor on the main event afterwards.
Exactly.
Fucking lunatic, that one.
Excellent, guys. Fantastic, guys. Well, we'll just wrap up the show by saying that UFC 205 will likely come back to this one. But I think now that we've got the title fights out of the way, now we can get into the real nitty-gritty. I mean, the card is just stacked from top to bottom. But if I can just extend my thanks to our panel here today that have helped me out, I want to thank my man with the plan, Steve Brigg. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
I'll be here every week, loving life.
Victor Vargas of MMA Wreckage, thank you again for your time, sir, and thank you for your last minute duties as well, sir.
No problem. Talking about cowboy, I guess I'm the cowboy of the MMA UK podcast.
Of the podcast world.
Of course, James Saddington of the Sprawl, big thank you to your time as well, sir.
That's weird being called James, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Nah.
And so my appearance today is in memory of Linda Laverty, my little cat. So today was about.
There you go. Don't forget to subscribe to MMA UK Podcast on Spreaker and iTunes, and we'll be back next Sunday with some more UFC 205 discussion.